Okay, so we're here. We've done 3 stretch and folds. We're about to do the 4th. Let's take a look. So we're already starting to get some bubbles in the dough. Lets us know it's active. Another bubble right there. Bubble right there. So this is looking really good. I like to use these Cambro vessels. I've had this for probably 20 years. Got it at East Bay Restaurant Supply in Oakland, but I've got it marked off. So sometimes I make 1,200 grams of flour batches, and most times I make 1,000 gram batches. So I've already marked this off, but I'm gonna go ahead and do one last stretch and fold, show you the window pane test, and then put it in here. And then typically what I do is I leave this out on the counter until it's risen to roughly about here, and then I'll throw it in the fridge overnight and shape it in the morning time. It's very important to let it rise before putting it in the fridge. And the amount that your dough is going to rise is completely and totally dependent on the amount of protein in your dough. So if you're using some sort of all-purpose flour that's low in protein, you're going to want to let it rise less, because it just can't handle that and it'll break apart or it just won't rise when it bakes. But if you're using high protein flours, such as bread flour, such as adding in any kind of like gluten strengthening, you can let it rise a little bit more. So with me, typically by the time I bring it out of the fridge, it'll be right about to here as far as its rise, anywhere between here and here. If it's risen so much that it's touching the lid of this, I know that I've done it wrong and it's over risen. So you can over rise your dough. So something to keep in mind. But anyways, yeah, you can see just how elastic this is. It's telling us it's got a really good gluten development. And then if I take some here and I stretch it out, you see how it doesn't want to break. And I can get it real thin before it eventually breaks. You see I'm pushing underneath and it finally broke. So this is a well-developed dough. So this looks great. So I'm just gonna scoop it out in one big scoop and drop it in here. I just kind of pat it down a little bit. I'm not worried about knocking out any big air bubbles right now. And you can see now that it's in there and looking real good. And it's about 8:30. I started around 6:10 in the morning. So I usually start my work day around 8:45, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm able to do this and fit it into my overall schedule, which is what I really love. And it's something that I feel is very important as far as if you want to make sourdough, you got to make it work for you. So what I'll do from here is I'll go ahead and let this rest on the counter. Since I work from home, I'll put it somewhere in a counter space that I know I'm going to walk by a lot, so I can keep an eye on it as I come in to use the restroom, grab a glass of water, etc., etc. And once it's risen well enough, I'll go and throw it in the fridge overnight. And then in the morning time, I'll wake up again, do my morning routine, make my coffee, my smoothie, help get Landon fed. And then from there, I'll shape these loaves, and I'll walk you through how to shape the loaves as well. But then after we shape them, we let them rest again in the fridge overnight, and then I bake them the next morning. And it's those 2 stalls that I do that really help with the sourness of the bread. And so what I'm doing is I'm using a very active starter that doesn't have a lot of acidity in it, but then I'm building that acidity back in through my stalls. So it really seems to help out with it. Makes great bread that everybody loves.